Hello, welcome back to the Board Games 4K YouTube channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. We generally like to talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general, and in this video we're going to be talking about a tile laying, card hand management, tableau building game. We're going to be talking about Terraforming Mars, and in this game you will be drawing cards from a deck, playing cards into a tableau that will allow you to build up your resources, that will allow you to take actions, that will give you victory points, that will allow you to win the game. So in this video we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules. We'll be telling you what we do like, what we don't like, and then we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not Terraforming Mars is still worth playing. I think it's about 5 years after it was first released. So remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below, and we'll see you after this. Board Games 4K. So, Terraforming Mars. How'd you play this game? So Terraforming Mars is essentially a hand management game with a little bit of tile laying. So at the beginning of the game, everybody is going to take control, one of several corporations. You're going to get 2 corporation cards, you're going to choose one, and then you're going to look at the resources that it gives you, and you're going to place these resources on your player map. There's different types of resources in this game. You've got money production, you've got steel production, you've got titanium production, you've got plants, there is energy, and then you've got heat. Right, so your corporation is either going to give you money, and it's going to give you several other resources. Also, an ongoing effect that the corporation is going to give you, and you need to remember what this is. It's very easy to forget that your corporation is going to give you a special ability. Everyone will be dealt 10 project cards. You'll choose which ones you want to keep, and the ones that you keep, you're going to have to pay 3 mega credits, or just credits, for each card that you pick, right? And the ones that you dump are going to go into a communal discard pile face down. So if you look at the board, there's several global parameters that are on display. You've got temperature, you've got oxygen, and you've got ocean, right? And the game ends when all 3 of these global parameters have reached their maximum state. During certain portions of the game, you will be placing tiles out onto the board. You will notice on the board that there's several spaces that are reserved for ocean tiles, and there's also spaces that are reserved for certain types of city tiles, and also spaces that are reserved for special tiles that are placed off-world, like Phobos, for instance, right? And you can't place a city tile on an ocean tile, right? This ain't bleeding Waterworld, is it? So another thing you've got to be mindful of is when you place a tile, you've always got to try and place it next to a tile that you've already placed. The only reason you won't be able to do that is because there's no way of doing it, or you haven't actually got a tile on the board anyway. And if that's the case, you could place it anywhere you bleeding well like, and you don't even need planning permission. Right, when you look at your cards, you're going to have 3 different types of cards. You're going to have red cards, you're going to have green cards, and you're going to have blue cards. Red cards are event cards like the Comet. It costs 21 mega credits. You can get a discount on this one if you use titanium, and the same applies to some cards with the building icon. You'll be able to use steel to get a discount, and this allows you to raise the temperature, place an ocean tile out on the board, but someone will have to lose 3 plant resources right from their board. You'll see that when you've got a red outline on an icon on a card, that means that you will always be losing something, or somebody else will be losing that resource. So another event that might come out is a giant ice asteroid. This costs 36 mega credits. You can get a discount with titanium on this one. You can increase the temperature by 2 steps, and then you'll be able to place 2 ocean tiles out, and someone will have to remove 6 plants from their player board, right? And the thing about events is that once you've played them, they're like a one-shot thing. You have to turn a card over and place it face down in your play area, right? And this may or may not come into play later on and give you a few points depending on what other card you played. So green cards can affect each other. You'll see that some of these have got tags in the top corner. Some of these tags might be that they give you a discount with steel or titanium, or you might have tags on the card that relate to other cards and might give you discounts depending on how many of these cards you got in your tableau. You might have the Zeppelins card, which costs 13 mega credits. It requires at least 5% oxygen on the global parameter, and it allows you to increase your mega credit production by 1 step for each city tile that is on Mars. It also gives you a victory point at the end of the game. Or you might have asteroid mining. This costs 30 mega credits. You've got the Jupiter tag, and you can get a discount with titanium, and this allows you to increase your titanium production by 2 steps, and you also get 2 victory points at the end of the game. So blue cards have 2 different uses. You might have an ongoing effect on the card, or you might be able to take an action whilst using the card. So an example of the effect type of blue card is the herbivore card. So this costs 12 mega credits. It requires at least 8% oxygen, and you can add an animal to this card and decrease any plant production 1 step. And you'll also get 1 victory point per 2 animals on this card. And animals, there's no real animals in this game, right? Unless you want to put your dog on the card, which I wouldn't recommend because it might take a crap on your gaming table. But basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be placing cubes on this card. Whenever it says place an animal on this card, you're going to get victory points for how many cubes you've got on a card at the end of the game, right? So there you go. That's all 3 cards that are in this game. You'll be playing these cards into your tableau on the table, and you'll be doing what it says on the card. When you get into the meat and potatoes of the game, there's 4 different phases of this game. There's the player order phase, there's the research phase, there's the action phase, and then there is the production phase. So in the player order phase, it's basically just handing the first player token to the next. The research phase is when you're going to be getting 4 project cards. You'll be able to buy each one of these for free mega credits. You'll choose which ones you want, like you did in setup, and then you'll dump the rest and pay the cash. So the action phase is the main portion of this game. This is where you'll be spending money and getting cards into your deck or doing other stuff. So there's different type of actions that you can do is you can play a card from your hand. Like we said, you'll pay the cost that's in the top left hand side of it. You'll have to fulfill the prerequisites of the card, be it having a certain number of tags, or maybe a global parameter will prevent you from playing a card, or you might have to pay resources like heat or steel. And always remember that you can get a discount if the card allows you to do that. So you can get a discount of 2 with steel, and you can get a discount of 3 with titanium, only if the card allows you to do it. Don't get cheeky and start nicking stuff at the spa, will you? So you can use a standard project. You'll see on the left hand side of the board, dependent on where you're sitting. If you're sitting on the other side of the table, it's going to be the right hand side, isn't it? Yeah, so you could sell patents, and this is basically discarding cards from your hand, and you'll get 1 mega credit for each card that you flog. You can use the power plant project. You'll pay 11 mega credits to increase your energy production by 1 step. There is the asteroid project, where you'll pay 14 mega credits to increase the temperature by 1 step. You'll be able to take the aquifer, which will cost you 18 credits, and you'll be able to place a tile on the board. And remember that every time that you increase one of the global parameters, you'll be able to give yourself a victory point, right? You can pay 23 credits and place a greenery tile on the board, and this is important for final score, and greenery tiles will give you extra points dependent on where they're placed. Or you can pay 25 credits to place a city out on the board, but you cannot place a city next to a city, right? Don't want no football hooligan rivalry, do you? So the next action you can do is you can claim a milestone. 3 milestones can only ever be claimed, and once that's it, it's done. You can claim the Terraforming milestone. You can pay 8 credits, where if you've got 35 victory points, you can pay 8 credits and take that achievement. If you've got at least 3 city tiles on the board, then you can claim the mayor achievement. If you've got 3 greenery tiles on the board, then you can claim the gardener achievement. If you've got at least 8 building cards in play, then you'll be able to take the builder achievement. And if you've got at least 16 cards in your hand, then you can get the planner achievement. If you can hold all them cards in your hand, you bloody card hogger. So you can fund an award, and this is sort of like a little bit counterintuitive, because even if you fund the award, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get your greasy mitts on those lovely victory points at the end of the game, right? So the first award is going to cost you 8 credits, the next one's going to cost you 14, and the next one's going to cost you 20. And then you'll basically bet in on whether or not you can get the majority in that category, right? It doesn't matter if you funded the award, if somebody else gets the majority in that category, your money is wasted. So there's 5 different categories in the award ceremony. This is like the Martian Oscars in it. You could get the landlord if you own the most tiles in play. You can get the banker if you have the highest mega credit production. You can get the scientist, where you have the most science tags, which is like the tags with the little atom symbol on it, right? You can get the thermalist if you have the most heat resource cubes, or you can get the miner if you have the most steel and titanium resources, right? So the next action you can do is you can use the blue card action, which we've already talked about, so we're not going to talk about it again. You can always convert plants into greenery. You'll pay 8 plants, and then you'll be able to place a greenery tile out on the board. And you can convert heat into temperature by giving up 8 heat cubes, and then you'll just increase the temperature. And remember, you're going to get a victory point for doing that, aren't you? So during the action phase, everyone gets to take 1 or 2 of these actions, and once everybody's passed, then you'll go on to the production phase. Everybody's going to get new resources based on their production values of each different category. And then what you do, you'll take all your markers off any cards that you have used, and you'll go into the next round. So once all the 3 global parameters have been exhausted, then you'll go and do a little bit of final scoring. You'll look at your Terraform rating, which is your victory points. That'll be your base score, right? Then you'll check out all the leader bonuses. Leader gets 5 victory points, and the second place player will get 2 victory points. You'll look at the milestones, and you get the victory points for that. You'll look at the game board, and each greenery tile is worth 1 victory point, and each city tile is worth 1 victory point for each greenery adjacent to it. Doesn't matter who owns it. If you own Hyde Park, it doesn't mean that you are going to get the victory point. And then you'll count up all the victory points on your cards, and the player with the most victory points will be the winner of Terraforming Mars. So what do we like about Terraforming Mars? So the first thing that we like about this game is that the project cards that you play allow you to sort of chain combos together. You might have a card that gives you a truck load of heat, and then you'll be able to use that heat to increase the temperature, which if you're lucky enough will give you extra resources as you push the temperature marker up the track. Or for instance, you might have a card that gives you extra money production when you trade in heat, for instance, which then will allow you to buy better cards and do more stuff in the game, right? And there's other cards that will allow you to do extra actions on your turn. So there's a nice way of starting off very small. You'll struggle to get anything done at the beginning of this game, but as the game progresses, more doors open up, and you'll be able to align the combinations of actions together in quite rapid succession. Right, so second thing that we really like about this game is the 2 types of achievements that are in play. You've got the bog standard achievements where you can claim the victory points if you reach the threshold, which is nice, but in contrast to that, you've got the sort of gambling aspect of the awards, right? Because like we said, even if you stump up the cash to fund the award, you're not guaranteed to get it. So the good thing about this is that if you get in early, it's going to be cheaper, right? But you don't really know the way the game's going to go. But if you get in late, it's going to be more expensive, but you're going to have more of an idea of whether or not you can claim that award at the end of the game. So that's a really nice touch. It adds an unknown element to the progress of the game, and also a final scoring, you know what I mean? So the next thing that we really like about Terraforming Mars is that the tile laying aspect of the game, with the hand management and the tableau building, the engine building, means that the rewards available are interchangeable. What you do on the board directly affects what's in your hand, and what you got in your hand and on your tableau directly affects what you can do with regards to tile laying, right? So there's that almost perfect symmetry between what's away from you and what you got in front of you. Right, so the final thing that we like about Terraforming Mars is there is a really, really interesting sense of progression. It's not just a case of you expanding your production engine, but the options on the board at the beginning of the game are almost infinite, but the options in your hand are very limited. And as the game progresses, the options on the board seem to decrease, but the options in your hand increase. But it's very difficult to use that increase in options in your hand to get stuff on the board, because there's not going to be that much room to do what you want. So the game sort of messes with you in thinking that there's loads of stuff to do at the beginning of the game, but you can't get your stuff out. But as the game goes on, you've got loads of cards that you want to play, but you can't play them because there's not really that much scope to do so. And that's really, really interesting. So what don't we like about Terraforming Mars? So the first thing that we don't like about Terraforming Mars is, again, we keep banging on about this, but it's the random card draw. If you continually draw cards that you can't play, especially at the beginning of the game, because you're not going to have a lot of money or resources on hand, then you are pretty much stuffed. There is a variant in the rulebook that suggests that you can draft cards, but that will add to the length of the game. And to be honest with you, the game is already pretty long. So that random card draw can make or break your enjoyment of this game. So the second thing that we don't like about Terraforming Mars, and this is related to the previous point, is that you could end up with loads of cards in your hand that you just can't play, and you're going to have to dump them out your hand by using the sell patents action. And that means that unless you're using the card drafting variant, you're going to be buying cards on a bit of a gamble, and you might end up with some, say, 35 mega credit cards that you will never be able to play. Just the way that the tiles have come out on the board means that you can't play them. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame that there's no real way of planning ahead in the early stages of the game, right? The next thing that we don't like about Terraforming Mars is the corporations don't tend to steer the game in a way that we would have liked. It's just a case of these are the resources you're going to get, and this is the effect it's going to do. Like the corporation that gives you a discount when you're converting plants to greenery tiles, it doesn't really give you a bonus for getting involved in the greenery aspect of Terraforming Mars, right? It just gives you a discount. So even though it's cheaper to do that, there's no real sort of external benefit in doing that, right? It would have been better had it given you the discount, plus maybe give you an extra victory point for having a greenery tile on the board, or having cities next to greenery tiles or something like that. So it would have been better had there been maybe sort of like a cheap discount plus a more powerful victory point that's going to steer your game in a certain direction. So the final thing that we don't like about Terraforming Mars, and this has been a bugbear of mine since we picked the game up when it was released, is the components are probably some of the worst that we've come across in any sort of game. They are absolutely diabolical. What were they thinking giving you a paper mat when you're messing about with all these cubes? This is like Eclipse with diarrhea, right? It is awful. One tiny little knock of the table and you are going to lose track of all your progress, right? And the fact that there isn't enough cubes for each player, that you're going to be delving into the money cubes, is really, really poor. So yeah, the component quality of this game is absolutely diabolical. So to summarise, is Terraforming Mars worth your time and bother today and in the future? We're going to say, yeah, we do like this game. It's not without its faults, you know what I mean? The random card draw is a real pain in the neck. It's an innovative hand management game with tile laying aspects that is let down heavily by its really shoddy component quality. This is one game that rewards repeat plays like no other. The more you play it, the more familiar you're going to get with the different combination of cards and corporations. But at the end of the day, it's too reliant on the random card draw. So like we said, if you always end up drawing cards that you can't play, then you're pretty much going to have a miserable time of it. So we recommend that you use the card drafting mechanism and set aside a good amount of time to play this game, because it is worth investing your time and effort with Terraforming Mars, because it is one of the most enjoyable games that we have played, if you can get over the issues that the game presents. So we're going to give Terraforming Mars 4 out of 5. It definitely would have been a 5 out of 5 game had the components been of even an average standard, but they are absolutely awful. So there you go, that's Terraforming Mars. Remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below, and we'll see you next Tuesday.